Hello, everyone, and welcome to Speak Up Sis Talk Show. This is the place where everyday authors, those who are self published, especially those who are Christian authors, have an opportunity to share their testimonies through their written work in order to inspire you to share yours. I'm your host, Angel Charmaine. And it's been a minute since we've been in this space with you all. We've had just a couple of technical sorts of difficulties and things of that nature, but I'm so excited to be back in the space with you all Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I've got another amazing author here with me tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up our guest. She is the beautiful Dr. Claire A. Smith. How are you doing this evening, Dr. Smith?
I am good. It's so great to be back with you again. I trust you're doing well.
I am. Thank you so much for asking. Yes, you were actually on Speak Up Sis podcast before,
Right.
kind of sharing your story, telling us
Mhm.
about you.
Right.
And so everyone loved you. I loved you then. And so now you're in the Speak Up Sis talk show space so that we can
Mhm.
hear all about you as an author and we can talk about this amazing book that you have. So before we get started, I want to make sure that I say hello to those who are joining us. We've got, let me see, my Better Begins Within. Hi, how you doing? Better Begins Within is joining us on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I appreciate you. If you are watching on YouTube, if you'll go ahead and click that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you get notifications when we come on. If you're watching on Speak Up Sis Bookshelf on Facebook, hello, how are you doing? You may want to go over to YouTube because remember, this is my birthday month. Yay! And so we're doing giveaways all month long. And if you are subscribed to Speak Up Sis YouTube and you are actually watching the video and interacting with us, then by the end of this, you're going to have an opportunity to win a giveaway. So hold tight, make sure you're listening, and you'll have an opportunity to win a giveaway at the end of this show. All right, so Dr. Smith, is it all right if I call you Claire?
Yeah, that's fine. Come
All right,
on.
all right, perfect.
I mean,
Listen,
like we're friends, we're sisters. I'm back for more
it's
fun
all
with
right
you.
then. All right then. So let's get it. If you will, please tell the people a little bit about who you are.
Okay, well, happy birthday month.
Thank
And
you.
happy everybody, and then he said, happy everybody. Hello, everybody. It's good to be here with Angel in this space where we talk about our work.
Mhm.
So, as you heard, my name is Claire Smith. I am an author, speaker, as well as a spiritual mentor and a coach. I love connecting with people and making space for them to know God more.
Mhm.
I have several things that I've done. Right now, the main focus is the coaching, and the writing is kind of an accompaniment for the
Okay.
coaching. I'm originally from the country of Guyana, which is located on the southeast coast of the northeast coast of South America. Southeast is way down there. I've never been way down there. The northeast coast of South America, it's part of the English speaking Caribbean. So
Okay.
that's why my accent is different from Angel's accent.
Yeah. I don't have an accent. I don't
I know
think.
you would say, I knew you would say something. I did it. So yeah, I've done different things. I've pastored. I am an ordained minister, though I'm not called to pastor. I've done it, but I'm not called to pastor. Youth ministry is what I've done the bulk of my life, beginning when I was in high school even. And in some ways, it's indirect youth ministry right now, but still, my heart, my passion is always with young people.
Right.
Uh, so one of the key things I do right now is help people manage their time
Hmm.
so that they have manage their lives, so that they have more time for themselves, for God, for the people who matter most to them,
Right.
and to be able to do so without guilt and stress. Because sometimes we're guilted into being stressed out, we're guilted into doing too much, and then when we try to make time for ourselves or for other significant people, it's like you feel selfish. So it's just that's the phase I'm at. That's the phase I'm in on this journey.
Okay. Sounds good to me. I think, especially considering the time we're living in, the things that have been going on in our world for the last 2+ years now with this pandemic and everything, what you do is definitely needed, especially when we start talking about people of God, right? And people in the kingdom, and the way we tend to work ourselves until we can't work anymore. But we'll get into that because I will jump right into it. And I want to ease us into this conversation tonight. Ashana, how you doing? She is one of your fellow. Tell me, what is it? Guyanese?
Oh yeah, we connected. I saw her the last time when we did the live, and she put something like Guyana represent, or Guyana in the house, or Guyana represent, something like that. So I'm like, oh yeah, there was
Yes.
my
So she's
countrywoman was there.
Your countrywoman is here tonight. She says, "Hey, sis and Claire, story time with Stalita. Thank you for joining us. CBiz TV, thank you as well for joining us tonight." So, everybody, we're going to go ahead and get into this. Bam, help, I want out.
I like
What
how
to
you bring
do
it
when
up.
you are stressed out? What
Yeah.
made you decide to write a book titled Help, I Want Out? Were you in a place where you needed out?
I have been. I think Not I think. What happened was, as I when I first started coaching, initially I coached pastors, and it had to do with living from God's center, which is a similar theme.
Right.
Getting into God's center, but it was more specifically focused on spiritual life and spiritual development. And then I knew it was time to transition out off of away from specifically pastors.
Mhm.
Not that I don't work with pastors anymore, but from pastors being my main group. And as
Right.
I started shifting, and you look back and you look at the work you're doing and the people you're serving, and you begin to see themes, and that's what happened. So the theme that began to develop was the whole thing around time and stress and all of that. So that's how it happened in terms of the topic as a general thing. And then, my journey intersects with it too. So then I looked, maybe by now it's 3 years, maybe. Actually started to write a book to kind of accompany my work. And at that time, it was a very different name, excuse me. The name was Life Is What to Do When How to Be Stress Free in the Midst of Chaos, something like that.
Hmm.
And then I put it down. It just wasn't happening. I can't say I had writer's block. It wasn't writer's block. I'd written a chapter, the introduction, another piece of it. I had it all planned out.
Right.
And it just wasn't happening. And then toward the end of last year, God said, finish the book. And I was listening to somebody about how we do titles, and I went back to the conversations I'd had, and from all of that emerged, and the praying, of course, that goes with it, and out of that emerged this title, Help I Want Her, because that's what I saw when I thought of the conversations I'd had and all of that, is that people get to a stage where everything is just on them,
Right.
but they feel so committed and responsible that they can't get out. But if they could, they would scream at the top of their voices, "Help,
Right.
I want out." So then what do you do? And the subtitle tells you that there's something you can do.
There's something you can do. I think a lot of times people, like you said, are screaming, "Help, I want out," from the inside, but they never actually say it.
Right,
And I think that's something that a lot of us deal with, is needing the help, needing someone to help us to prioritize, to manage our time, to be good stewards of our time, right? To be more disciplined with our time so that we can be able to do some of the other things that we want. But there's this thing that says, don't ask.
Yeah.
Why do you think, from the work that you're doing and the different clients that you have, what have been some of the reasons that you found that people don't scream out help? I want out. I need help.
Because you're not supposed to want out.
Mm,
That's the very first thing. We've internalized that we must bear this, and something would be wrong. Maybe we would be ungrateful because we have this opportunity, or people need us. Sometimes it's more we need it than other people need us.
right,
And so you get the guilt, the shame, the sense that, well, this is my lot, I have to bear it. And if
right.
I don't do it, who will do it? And you know, just to say that you may have a season, because we have to be realistic, and there are different seasons in our lives. You may have a season where you really can't get out.
Mm,
The problem becomes the problem is when it becomes protracted. It should just be for a brief moment,
hmm.
and then you figure out how you're going to move out of it, you know, whether it's be bringing other people or so on. But this whole lone ranger syndrome that we fall into,
Hmm.
as well as allowing people to put their own expectations and their guilt on us, keeps us from um, keeps us from really thriving,
Right,
and thriving not in a selfish way. I'm never into just forget about everybody else and just please me.
right,
As a Christian, that's not a place we can, with integrity, be in.
right.
But at the same
Not
time,
and call ourselves not and call ourselves children of the Most High and kingdom believers and things of
right?
that nature. I want to address and hi Colette, how are you doing? Thank you
Yeah.
for joining us tonight on YouTube. She said, I reached out today on my feed and I was ignored. And when I saw that, I feel like I want to address that because that happened the other day to a woman on my feed, on my Facebook feed. And I don't typically see her post all the time, but for whatever reason, I saw this particular post. Okay. And she posted something like, if you're not willing to help me when I need help, don't ask me. The post was like one of those, I help people all the time and now I need
Okay.
help. And when I ask, you all act like you don't see me or hear me, right? It was one of those posts.
Okay.
So I see the post, and I want to share this in hopes that we will begin to do a little better, because I don't believe as kingdom citizens that we should have to bear everything alone. The Bible says when we help one another, right, carry the burden, we help fulfill the law of Christ.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. So I see this woman's post, right? And I go to her page under the post and I ask her, how can we support you?
Okay. That's good.
She's asking, clearly she's screaming for help, right?
Hmm.
And everyone is just amen in her because she's like, if you can't support me, I ain't, you know how we do, right? And everybody's like, that's right, that's right, that's right. And so I go under the post and I simply say, how can we support you? And I think sometimes we as believers, as a strategy, as a technique, as a something we probably just should be doing, is when you see people crying out, hear people crying out, simply ask them, how can you help? A lot of times people want help, but they don't necessarily tell you how you can help them.
Yeah.
Right? So I say, Colette, you say you reached out today on your feed and was ignored. I'm going for those people who are watching and listening. When you see a sister or a brother crying out, asking for help, asking for support, and maybe you just don't know what they need, just ask them.
Yeah.
Just
And
ask.
another, yeah, and um That's a good question. I'm thinking. I'm trying to think of other questions we could ask
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes people don't know how to answer, depending on where they are.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
the right question, but if depending on where they are, they may not know how to answer that. So it's another one could be, I see you, I hear you. Do you want to talk?
That's a good one.
That's another possibility.
That's
But I think
another one. Yep.
the one you asked is important too.
Yeah. And
Excuse me.
as I was sharing, the thing about this woman, she came into my inbox and she shared. And once she shared,
Good.
I could hear exactly what,
Mm-hmm.
and she was able to verbalize exactly what she needed
Yeah.
after filtering through all the stuff.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
sort of boiled down to all this stuff is happening, nobody's helping, but if I could get this, I will be okay. Right. And so of course that meant, all right, I'm going to help you be able to get what you need and support you in that place. Right. But like you were saying, there are times when we do cry out and we ask, and God does not give anyone the words to support you or the means to support you. And sometimes he just wants you to cry out to him.
Yes. Oh, I can talk about that. You know, there've been times when something has happened and I pick up the phone. Nobody is available. I'm calling
Right.
and nobody is available. And then I'm like, okay, Lord, I hear you. Talk to God
Yes.
first. Not that we can't talk to the other people. Talk to God first, and then you can go to the other people.
Yes. Yes. And I think sometimes we're frustrated and we're crying out because we're expecting other people to do only what God can do for us.
Yeah.
And so, okay, that's what's up. Looks like we've got a few other people in the building. Hello, how are you all doing? Ask God to lead you. Downsize. Your peace is priceless. I'm t- Whew,
That's true. And there's one place we get a peace from, that kind of peace, the peace
that
that
kind of
passes
peace.
all understanding. Yeah.
Yes, 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 yes. All right, so let's get back here. The title of the book is Help I Want Out: What to Do When You Are Stressed Out from Keeping It Together. And I like that last part. I find it interesting, the subtitle of the book, the how to keeping it together, what to do when you are stressed out
Keeping it all together.
from keeping it all together. And it's kind of oxymoronic, right? Because if you're keeping it all together, why would you be stressed out?
You stress out because you're keeping it all together. It can go, it can go either way. You could be stressed out because you're not keeping it all together, but you could also be stressed out because you're keeping it all together at the expense of yourself and your important relationships,
Mm,
including your relationship with God.
right.
So, we can enter the space where everything we're supposed to do externally for people and for work and everything, that is being, yeah, the pressure that is going okay as far as people could see.
Mm-hmm.
But we're neglecting the other pieces that feed that, and sooner or later we'll crash if
Right.
we don't do something about it. So that's part of it, is to keep people from crashing, or if they've crashed, to get them back to a place of equilibrium where they can kind of live well, live with joy, live with God's peace, live with God's fullness, and enjoy life.
Right.
um, and I really believe a lot of it has to do with how we know and understand ourselves before God, and how we know and understand why God has us here. In the book, I talk about purpose, call, and assignment.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. And I do it like you're building up. So, purpose is basic, why you're here. Each
Mm-hmm.
of us is here for a particular reason. And then the call is, it's similar to vocation, but it doesn't have to be vocation, but it comes out of your purpose, and then the assignment relates to your season.
Right.
So I use the example of a nurse who, she was a client of mine, and what's your purpose? I don't know. So we kind of talked about it. I have some questions in the book that help with that. And then, oh, her purpose is to care for other people.
Right.
So what's her call? Her call is to be a nurse. Her current, when she first started, the assignment was fully on the ward. Then it shifted to ward and some administration. And
Hmm.
then now it's ward, some administration, less, much less ward on the ward, but more administration and teaching all the nurses now. And that call to that purpose of caring is seen outside of her work, church, wherever she is.
Right.
And all of us, there's a level at which all of us should care, but for some people, it's a specific call.
Right.
But one of the things I say about purpose is don't make it a big issue, because if we're truly seeking to please God, we're following, we're going to be in our purpose. But
Right.
when we know it, it can become like our guiding star that allows us to say yes sometimes and no sometimes.
Right.
So it becomes easier to filter out what we should do, so that we're not trying to do everything and trying to keep everything together. We know what we need to keep together, and we stay with that, and we avoid some of the stresses that lead to stressed out living, because I do make a distinction between stress and stressed out living.
Okay, so share with us just a little explanation of the difference, because I don't think everybody realizes that there's just healthy stress. I don't even know if you want to call it healthy, but we can't not have stress in life.
Right.
There's exercising causes stress, right? But we need to
I like that.
exercise.
Tell me.
So right, it does cause the body stress, right? But we need to exercise. So if you will please share a little bit with the difference between
Yeah.
having stress and being stressed out.
Yeah. As you said, stress is a part of life. We can't avoid it. Something is Colette is so funny. Sorry. I see the messages going, and I know I shouldn't react. You're doing that. But every now and then I'm like, yeah.
Here out so that you don't get distracted.
Well, I appreciate all these comments. But yeah, so we do have the stresses that come, and I talk about things that lead to stress in the book. Some stresses relate to health. If we suddenly get a health crisis, that's a stressor.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes family, as much as we love them, they can cause us stress.
Right.
Um, Different things, work and so on. But the thing about it is, being stressed out is when the stress becomes a dominant part of our living. And I say specifically that being stressed out is living with an overload on your system that leaves you feeling overwhelmed mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. And when that happens, we're in trouble, because everything is going to suffer after a while. And
Right.
we'll end up, we talk about the law of was it? The phrase eludes me. Diminishing returns. We end up with the law of diminishing returns, and then we suffer. Everybody suffers.
Right.
So that's important to know.
Do you think do you think many people find themselves in a stress place because they don't really know what their purpose is, what their assignment is? I think sometimes people think they're supposed to be doing something, but that's not necessarily
Yeah.
what it is that they were created to do. I know oftentimes, as for example, when I was working as an educator, um, I'm a teacher in the world sense, right? High
Mhm.
school, whatever, trained teachers, all that kind of stuff. And so when I would go to church, um, the people always wanted me to teach like children's school, Sunday school, or teach something. And
Mhm.
I would just be like, okay, because it's like, well, that's what you do in the world and you're good at it. So when you come into church and to this space, then, do that too. And it used to stress me out. I used to be overwhelmed with it. And I realized eventually, when I realized what it is God wanted me to do in this world and what I was supposed to be doing in in that space, right? It wasn't teaching. And I think sometimes we mix what we do in the world for a career or a job with what it is our life's work is. And sometimes they're not the same thing. And
Right. That
if
that's
you're not sure of that, it could totally put you in a place of being stressed out.
that's critical. Understand, because when we don't understand that, that's when people's expectations. I talk about expectations and managing expectations. When we don't understand that, and I think critical to understanding purpose is understanding who we are as
Hmm.
God's beloved creation, validated by God already.
Hmm.
So we're not looking to people to validate us. Because sometimes we may know our purpose, but if we are dependent on people rather than God for our understanding of self and the whole validation. I say validation again. If we don't understand that God, we're unique before God, and we
Right,
become needy, we become people pleasers as against pleasing people as a normal course of life, then even though we may know purpose, we're going to run into issues. And that's why I talk about the importance of having margins and boundaries so that we have a place that allows us to come back and center ourselves in who God is,
right,
who we are in God, and the
right.
work God is calling us to do.
Okay, so with your book, can you give us maybe a tip or two for people who are watching and they're going, look, I'm beyond just having some stress. My nerves is bad and I'm ready to get in a car and drive and don't come back. I don't know about y'all, but I operate in vulnerability, transparency, and honesty. That is how God uses me. Um, and I can honestly say that there have been many times as a mother of four boys,
Little
having
Abby.
been married, God rest my husband. So, listen, I know what it's like to just want to get in the car and drive. You know what I'm saying? And there were times when I didn't know I was screaming, I need help somewhere in there, but didn't have the strategies. Do you give strategies in this book? Do you give people tips to help
Yeah.
them? If so, can you share maybe one or two with us tonight?
Yeah. One of the things with the book is it has a lot of diagrams, and it also has exercises it has exercises at the end of each chapter, but in between I give you templates that you can use to think. But is it okay if I read something from it
Yes, most
that I
definitely.
think would be helpful? So this is in the chapter about time, because I think it dovetails with what you're talking about.
Right.
When you are up against an immovable force, you have two choices. One choice is to accept that you cannot move it and work with or around it. The other is to be delusional and kill yourself trying to move it.
Mm.
The first choice implies a partnership, the second is just folly. Unfortunately, we often choose the second. I know that I did so for a long time. Believe me when I say that it is not worth it. This is why when I work with clients, we look at how they use time and what that says about them. That's on page 21. And then I'm skipping to page 27, the permission slip.
Mm-hmm.
Olivia looked at the clock in her office, late again. She had promised her family that she would leave early this evening. She took another look and decided that she was not really late after all. She could finish one more thing before she left. It would only take a minute. An hour later, Olivia looked at the clock again. What? This was supposed to be her reset day. She started scrambling, throwing things in her purse, running to the elevator. She twisted her ankle trying to get to the car as quickly as possible. She sat down and sighed. Her ankle hurt a little, racing in heels. What was she thinking? What went wrong? Olivia could not give herself permission to follow through on her purpose to her family and leave the office early. She was wrapped up in an internal narrative that told her if she left early, she was not giving her best. Has that ever happened to you? You have become so accustomed to going full out that when you got an opportunity for a pause, you did not take it. Scratch that. You could not take it. Instead, you found something else to do. Of course, you told yourself a story to justify it. This needs to be done. This person needs help. There is no one else to do it. When you stop to think about it, aren't you amazed at the stories which you come up with to justify your behavior? I know mine have amazed me. The thing, of course, is that you may be too stressed out to realize that this is what you're doing. Where do these narratives that set you up for stress originate? It varies. You may have experienced busy parents as you grew up, or you may have grown up with a mantra idle hands are the devil's playground, or as they say where I'm from, Satan finds mischief for idle hands. When it got translated into never have an idle moment, you were set up for a stressed out life. Here is another source of these narratives. Growing up, you may have been the eldest or the responsible one. Everyone turned to you because they knew you would follow through. You took on the mantle of the responsible one who got things done regardless of your situation, setting yourself up for a stressful life. It is also likely that having achieved success, you feel guilty. The guilty feeling is not rational, but it is real. As a result, you're constantly trying to make up for it. You promise yourself that you will do everything to be worthy of your success. It can be even worse if you're the first one in your family and or community to achieve this level of success. You may feel driven to give back by helping others. As a conversation unfolded with one of my clients, we discovered that this was a part of what was causing her to feel overwhelmed, guilt, and the need to give back. Having uncovered it, she was able to realize the ways in which she was already giving back. She did not need to add anything else. In addition, she did not need to feel guilty about her achievements. There's a reason why you go all out. This feeds the narrative you tell yourself that enable your stressed out state. Olivia had hers. Growing up, Olivia had been the most responsible child in her family. She got a break to go to an elite school outside of her community. She received opportunities that her siblings did not. She had worked hard each step of the way, following in her father's footsteps. He had worked so hard that I hardly ever saw him. As an adult, Olivia felt an underlying, unresolved guilt. When others did not step up to the plate, she made excuses for them rather than holding them accountable. They had not had the same opportunities as she had, was her go to excuse. Furthermore, in her head, you were a good worker when you worked long hours. Olivia did not give herself permission to change these narratives that enabled her stressed out state. Now she was breaking down and did not know what to do. Olivia had no idea how to stop. I do not want you to be like Olivia at this point in her life. Thus, I am giving you your permission slip. Here it is. Stop. Just stop and flip the script.
Uh, that was a lot. That was a lot to process. We'll probably have to replay this and listen to that. No, better yet, just get the book. Better yet, just get the book. I like the fact that you use case studies. Sometimes we, sometimes it's difficult for us to see ourselves, but
Hmm.
we can see ourselves in other people.
Yeah,
We can read about Olivia. We can read about her. And we can see ourselves in her when it's difficult for us to just look at ourselves and to check ourselves, right? And
yeah,
so I like that you use case studies and all of that. I think people are in the comments like, yeah, that's me. All of the above. Colette, I love you, Colette. Please make sure you subscribe to Speak Up Sis on YouTube and click that notification bell. Please join our community. I like you already. She was like all of the above.
yeah.
Ashana said,
I saw
ouch.
some of it stuff. Yeah, I saw some of it passing by, and yeah, they should join your community because you're always putting out good content. So
So
definitely,
listen,
no.
I feel like I need to get the book in tangible form. I have the book in digital form.
Okay.
I believe I download. Let me make
Yeah,
sure.
you did.
Okay,
You
I want
did.
to say I believe I downloaded this in
I
digital form,
remember.
but I
Yeah.
actually like to have
You like
the
to hold it.
tangible. Yes,
You
this is
like to
one of those
hold it.
books that
Yeah.
sounds like you need to highlight and
Yeah.
go back and use as a reference and
Yeah.
use as a reference tool. So do you use case studies from clients that you've actually worked with? Did you use real life case studies for this book?
Yeah. So the book is structured around, well, Is it structured around Olivia? I don't know. There's a central character in the book. That's the best way to describe it. Olivia, who is married and has two young children.
Mhm.
And then intertwined are examples from my clients,
Okay.
except for one where I quoted her directly. They are anonymous, though I did get their permission. But
Okay.
I use about four clients maybe. So I have that. And then the other neat thing with this is that I quote I call them wisdom contributors. So I have about, I don't know, Judy Thane, Annette, Jim, Veronica Lynn, Marlene, Rita Willie, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have about 12 people who have little snippets. Like
Right.
when I'm writing, I say, and I do pre-orders, I'm like, well, you could be in the book if you want, and I'll give them
Right.
something, and you'll just send me a little something, and I'll put it in the book. So I have some of that too. So, yeah, and like I say, that they're the diagrams that make it easy. They're the exercises. Some of the exercises that I've used with my clients,
Right.
they're in this book as well. And I have something special for you people.
Okay, okay. And
Eh,
I'm gonna give you
if
just a
people,
second to give me. I'm gonna give you just a second because I'm still in the flow of this conversation because
good, 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 good.
I
All
need a
right.
little bit more. I know for all of you beautiful viewers, we typically are here for 30 minutes, but it's my show,
All
and
right.
so
That's
I
why I
can
was
stay as
racing
long
with it because I looked at the time.
I can stay as long as I want to because it's
Okay.
my show, okay? But you said something that I want to explore.
Hmm.
You said um, you can tell a lot about a person by what they do with their time, something of that
Oh,
nature. And
yeah.
I've heard people say that about money. Like if you want to, you can look at your money and it'll tell you, but I don't think we really think about time in that way. How do you spend your time? What you choose to spend your time doing, what you choose to not do during your time.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
it speaks volumes about who you are. And I don't think I've ever really sat with that. And I think that is a wonderful way to help people understand the importance of time management and planning.
Yeah.
Because when I sit down and I think, just when you said that, my brain started racing and I was like, girl, do better, Angel. Because I'm like, oh my goodness, when I think about what I do with my loose time, it's like that's saying something about me, and that's important. Do you mind expounding on that just a little bit?
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing with time is often we're not conscious of how we're using it. And so um we are not looking at where the different aspects of our lives fit and what is getting the most attention in terms of time. And so I like people to just step back and do a diary for the day. One of the things I say is at the beginning of the week, figure out how much time you spend on these different categories.
Mhm.
And then each day, do a diary for each hour of the day you're awake. And then at the end of the week, fill in the actual and compare the two. And that will give you a good idea of what's happening with your time. And I was looking to see where I mentioned that in the book, but I know I mentioned it somewhere. Different tools. Because, okay, so suppose you said my values,
Mhm.
family first or
Family
God first, just depends.
Mhm.
And then I value my family. I value honesty. We got those type of things, but
Right.
family is very important to me. And also being a stellar worker, doing well at my
Right.
job. And then you do your time analysis and you realize you just spend a minimum amount of time with your family.
Oh.
So that tells you right away that you're out of sync with your values.
Mm. I
But
I like what you just said. This
mhm.
this is why I love having smart people on my show.
You're
Um,
funny.
because I like the way you phrase that. You said that lets you know that you are out of sync with your values versus that's not what you really value. And I think depending on how you treat yourself, depending on whether you beat yourself up, whether you're self condemning, self deprecating, the mindset in which you approach it matters, because you just said you can look at it and say my activities are just not lining up, syncing, right, with my
Yeah.
values, versus saying you must not value your family.
Right. And
Do you
that's,
see the difference? And I
yeah,
think sometimes that we do that to ourselves. It's like, oh, I'm such a bad person. I'm spending time with my kids. I'm such a, instead of saying, no, you just need to readjust your activities because you do value
exactly.
your children,
Right.
right?
Because if you come at it from the first one, as you broke it down, then the weight and the guilt you put on you, two things about that. You're putting guilt on yourself. And secondly, you've just written a narrative into your psyche.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then you're going to start to live that narrative or that script.
Yes.
So that's the other problem with approaching it from that. It's not really a negative thing, but it's like that self blame because a lot of times we feel we should beat ourselves up. Of course, we don't want to go around and say, "Oh, I'm wonderful." We
Right.
are wonderfully made, and we are God's wonderful creation, but we don't have to be braggadocious.
Right.
we,
Right. Right. But there are times. Here's my thing to just help, because I like, oh, so much. It's so much. We'll prayerfully we'll get to read your book in our book club, because I think that would be a good thing to do. If you all didn't know, we do have a Speak Up Sis book club, but oh goodness, it's just so full. It's just so much. I'm not even gonna go. I'm not even gonna go all the way into this. But the fact that, and I guess I will. The fact that
where we get going.
I know you said you put in the book permission. I
The
think a lot
permission
of
to live.
times we feel like that's all people need sometimes is permission. And that's the thing about Speak Up Sis, the Speak Up Sis, my ministry, my business, all of it, the podcast, the talk show. This is all about giving people permission to acknowledge and own and give voice to truth, right? So that they can
Yeah.
overcome and help other people. Sometimes folks just need to know it's okay. Just like you said, just stop, Olivia. Just stop. Like, to know, to hear someone verbalize,
Yeah.
it's okay for you to clock out at 6 o'clock and go
Yeah.
home. Like, it's okay for you to do that. It doesn't make you a bad worker. It doesn't make you lazy. It doesn't mean that you don't care about the company. It doesn't mean any of those things. It means there's a close of business time and you have a
Yeah.
family. Go take care of your family. And to
And if you
hear
don't have
that,
a family, you still have yourself.
you still have yourself.
Because when we don't have families, I don't have a family. It's easy to let everything bleed together,
Yes,
but we still have ourselves, and we still have to be accountable to God
that's right.
for stewarding what God has given us, which includes our bodies. And that's a place I
Yes.
always have to come back to because for me, it's so easy to keep going.
Yeah. Oh, me too. And like I said, I got 4 kids, and I'm like, boop, 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 boop. I'm always going. They're like, Mom. I'm like, okay, okay, okay. I'll have to go if I'm on the phone working, or I'll say, okay, my son will come in, one of the twins, because he loves to just be in my space, and he'll be like, Mom, let me tell you about this cool thing on TikTok or something, and I'll be like, I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm working, like.
Mm.
I'm trying to make money here. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to build an empire for you, your brothers, and whatever. You want me to watch TikTok right now? And I am having to even learn that no,
Mhm.
yes, yes, that's one of the reasons you're an entrepreneur, Angel, is that you get to stop and watch a TikTok video with your son while he tells you why he loves it, and
Mhm.
you get to let him go on about his business, and then you get to continue what you're doing,
Mhm.
right? I get to do those things. I don't have to do them. I
Right.
get to do them, right? The reframing. Anyway, we could talk all night long, but
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that to you tonight because you know you and I have spent some time on the phone talking.
Yeah. And it's always beautiful.
Yes, you're just such a beautiful soul and you're so super smart. And
You
I just
too.
enjoy, yes, I enjoy having you
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
space. So let's go ahead and do this. If you do not already own this book, then please, you can actually grab this book. It is on speakupsis.com/bookshelf. It is on the bookshelf in the self-improvement category. Um, if you're not familiar with Speak Up Sis Bookshelf, please know I'm not taking any of her coins. Okay. You know, sometimes people,
Buddy.
you know how people are, doctor. They're like, how can I shop with her so you don't get no money? Trust. Speak Up Sis Bookshelf is designed to introduce you all to self-published authors that you may not know exist. Amazon is huge, right? So this is a niche place where you get to meet Christian authors and Christians get to find books that don't cause you to compromise your faith in order to, read a good book. So when their books are listed on Speak Up Sis Bookshelf, the books are linked directly to the author. So it's an easy way for you to find her. You go to speakupsis.com/bookshelf. If you look under self improvement, you'll see her book. It's yellow.
Yep. It's
And
a
it
yellow
says,
book.
I want out. You can click on that. It'll take you directly to her to purchase the book. However, if you would like to contact her directly or you would like to find her website, Claire, will you please share that information with everyone?
Okay. It's livingstressedout.com. Livingstressedout.com. And let me just tell you what I have that's special. Like some bonuses if people buy. So if you buy within the next 24 hours, you will get, I have like a one sheet thing called Burst Stress, BIRST,
Mm-hmm.
stress. And in like if you're really feeling tense or under pressure, you just go through it and in 3 minutes you'll be relaxed. I also have a 2 lesson course dealing with overwhelm, how to deal with overwhelm. So anybody who orders within the next 24 hours, you'll get those too. And if you order this evening, I'll throw in a third thing, which is knowing when it's time to let go. So those are the bonuses I have for your people who are sharing and who are ready to order.
That is what's up. And they can get that directly from livingstressedout.com, correct?
Yeah, and once they order the book, I'll email them with the details and everything that they get.
Okay,
Yeah.
excellent. Because I'm not sure if you have it linked to Amazon on the
No, it's
bookshelf or
just from me. It's just from me right now.
it's just from you. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you can go direct.
Sorry. It's on Kindle on Amazon. The hard copy is just from me. I need to clarify that. Sorry.
Okay. Got you. Got you. So you can get a hard copy tonight. You can get a tangible book tonight. You can go to livingstressedout.com and get all the extra goodies. Make sure you let her know that you saw her on Speak Up Sis Talk Show so you can get all your extra goodies. Thank you so much for gifting the listeners tonight. And guess what? Let me tell you what. Let me tell you what I'm gonna do
Oh
tonight.
yeah, because you got your own exciting stuff going on. Your
We're
birthday
gonna we're
month.
gonna do a giveaway tonight. We're gonna do a giveaway tonight. How about that? How much is your book?
It's 20, and then
It,
4.99 for shipping.
all right. So guess what we're gonna do tonight? We're gonna give away $25 tonight. How about that?
Wow.
We can give out we can give out $25 tonight. I think we can do that. I think so. And you know what? I'm gonna tell you, let's see. How do we wanna select? No, I'm not even gonna do that. No, I'm gonna give $25 to Collect Co. Cause I can. And I'm gonna give you $25 tonight, Collect Co. And I'm gonna tell you why, because you have blown us up all night.
Oh boy. Yes.
Like if there was a participation award, Colette, it's yours, honey. And so tonight, as a birthday gift from me to you, my birthday was June 10th. Um, and all month long, Monday and Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. for the Speak Up Sis podcast is Monday night. The talk show is Wednesday night at 8 p.m. We're giving prizes, cash as well as non-cash prizes. But tonight, Colette, I want to give you some money. So if you will, please send an email to contact, CONTACT, at speakupsis.com. Contact at speakupsis.com. Send an email there, and include your, if you use Cash App or if you use PayPal or if you use Venmo, if you'll send whichever one you prefer, and I'm going to send you $25 cash tonight. So if you choose to purchase this book, it'll be on the house, because I'm going to send you the money. Okay. All right. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. You are so, so very welcome. I bless God for all of you tonight. Story time
Yeah.
with Lita. Thank you so much for joining me. CBiz TV, thank you as well. Ashana, I appreciate you for joining as well. And Claire, I like to give my guests the opportunity to have the last word. So
Okay.
I like to leave the people with something, a nugget they can chew on.
Yeah. And just, when in terms of contacting me, I realized I just gave my website out, but there's a contact form on that if you wanted to be more direct.
Okay.
Just to say it's been great to share. Thank you for giving us this platform, Angel, and just focusing on those of us who are in this self-publishing space and who are not the big names. But I think in everything we do, we need to seek to know God's will. Because I think with that as a foundation, there's this psalm I've been trying to learn, this verse in Psalm 143. Sorry, and it says, teach me to do your will, for you are my God. Let your good spirit lead me on a level path. And I think if we have that as our motto, and we continually have the space, building the daily space, that weekly space, to remind ourselves to be with God and remind ourselves who God is, who we are in God, how God has called us, and we resist the urge and the temptation to try to prove ourselves to other people, and we just stay in alignment with God and with the values we have that come from our understanding of God and our faith, we'll be good.
We will.
We'll be good.
We will be good. And with that, everybody, I'm going to say thank you again, Dr. Claire A. Smith, for coming into the space to share yourself, your story, as well as your book with us. I really appreciate you.
Likewise.
Anytime I can be of assistance on your journey as an author, just reach out, and I will do what it is that I can do. All right. So, everybody, thank you all so much for joining us tonight. Remember, every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Speak Up Sis Talk Show highlights a self published Christian author so that they can share the word of their testimony through their written work in order to inspire you to open up your mouth and share yours. You all have a beautiful evening. And until next week, Wednesday night, we'll see you later. Bye
Bye,
bye.
everyone. God bless.
God bless.